Welcome to My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
And I'm Christina.
Okay. So I was just scrolling.
Okay.
All right, let's get down to business. Let's get serious here.
Get into it.
Very serious. Okay. All right. Serious moods.
I was scrolling through Reddit, as I do, which I was having a conversation with a coworker, and she was telling me she's like, I think like last year of Gen Z, she's like 97. She's not 97, but she was born in 1997.
Got it.
She was saying how scary she finds Reddit. And she's like very intimidated by Reddit. And I can actually totally see that. But you have to really curate your Reddit to only see things that like you want to see. So for this podcast,
it could be a real rabbit hole.
It truly could be. I follow a lot of like dating pages for this podcast. And even those can get a little sketchy, a little gamey sometimes. But I found this one under the relationship advice subreddit.
Okay.
And I thought it would be interesting for us to discuss, an interesting discussion. Okay. So the header is, my 31-year-old female boyfriend, 32 male, and I were casually talking about kids and our future. He said he's going to get a DNA test when the baby is born. Is that inappropriate to say? So here it is. We don't have kids yet, nor am I pregnant, but have talked about having them in the next few years. We've also talked about getting married. We both absolutely love cars, and I jokingly said, what if our kids don't like cars? He said he's going to get a DNA test whenever we have kids. I thought he was joking, but turns out he's dead serious. I expressed to him how his predetermined desire to get a DNA test automatically implies that he does not trust me and anticipates continuing to distrust me. I told him the statement makes it sound like I'm unfaithful or plan to cheat on him, or that he doubts me. I have given him no reason to believe that I'm unfaithful. He knows I'm absolutely obsessed with him. He's my best friend. So this statement came as a shock to me. He also said, I wouldn't tell you that I'm getting it done. But I let him know that even sharing this with me is so hurtful and disappointing. Am I wrong in feeling like this is such an inappropriate thing to say to your partner in a committed, faithful relationship? Or is it normal for couples to get DNA tests of their babies after they're born?
Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, she's absolutely right. It does all that he basically doesn't trust her.
Right.
But
of course,
but if I was a guy, I would do it too. I have to say. Also, do you hear about all those like babies that get switched at the hospital and then people have the wrong babies?
Yeah, but like, what if that happened? And then all of a sudden you're like, I swear to God, I have not slept with anybody but you. But the DNA comes back that it's not his kid. And you're like,
I would lose it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cassie, you especially
and then you're like,
would.
I want a DNA test too.
Yeah, you especially would lose it because like you'd be like, how do you not believe me? I swear to God, I'm telling the truth. You know what I mean?
My nightmare.
There is like a really popular Reddit thread from years ago where that happened. The guy did the DNA test and it didn't come back positive. So he was like, you fucking cheated on me. It was the woman writing in. She's like, I swear to God, I did not cheat. Like, this is his baby, like that kind of thing. So people in the comments were like, you go get tested, like hospitals switch babies all the time.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I think there was a Criminal episode, like the podcast Criminal. It was one podcast like that where they talked about a woman who did that serially. Like she was just like, it was a compulsion.
Yes.
And she couldn't stop doing it. And so she was like old and she's like, I used to like basically for funsies, I used to switch babies. Like she worked as a nurse.
She was like San Diego, I think, right?
Yeah, and so she's like, I switched hundreds of babies like in my career, and just like didn't tell anyone until she got old, and then was like, bye, you know. Like,
people are doing 23andMe, like wrecking Christmases all
just
around.
Families destroyed like left and right, you know, and like of no fault of anyone's except for this woman who just for shits and gigs
just
switched babies at birth. Yeah. But okay, back to the Reddit question though. I have to say, I would be insulted. I really would be. Like that might be a deal breaker for me. at the same time, it's like, well, what does it really matter? You know, the DNA test is going to come back that it's his.
Sure.
But I do think it's the bigger conversation is the implication that they don't trust you. Right. That like they're, if you've given them no reason to believe that you would be cheating on them, like why would they feel like this is something that they need to get done? If you're in a committed long-term relationship, you're talking about babies, you're talking about marriage. I don't know. I don't know. I'm also not a man. Like maybe men can write in and let us know their fears and, how they feel about this. I don't know.
Because it's 100% like we know because we're carrying it. There's no surprise, but
unless the hospital does like switch baby on
right. That's
even the then I feel like I'd be like, huh. Yeah. I feel like, don't you feel like you would, I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe you wouldn't.
Sometimes babies don't look like their parents. Like I look like both of I look enough like both of my parents that I'm like, there's no real question. Like, honey, I'm their kid.
I did that TikTok thing where it ages you, and the way that it turned me into Terry Connor, I wanted to fucking, I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it was so
scream. Eric's like, what's wrong? Nothing.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. He's like, can I see your phone? You're like, no.
No.
You're like, just know that I look like Halle Berry when I get older.
Oh, exactly. Dude, I'll tell you, it really was. Don't open things if you don't want to know what's inside.
No.
You know what I mean?
I did learn that about that TikTok app. I don't know what the fuck it is about that like filter
specific one.
I don't know what it is, that some people look fine with it. It must zero in on certain features and exaggerate certain things, because like I look like 100-year-old witch that lives in a swamp. You know what I mean? Like when I did it, I looked horrifying, and I was like 100% I'm never doing that again. That was like horrible. But then you see some people and I'm like, you look pretty good. I really think the app is biased in some way. Like,
they're like, you're too pretty already. Let's fuck you up.
It's horrible.
It really did like mess with me for a while. Like, I did not need to know my future like that.
No, we don't need, like, the technology has gone too far. There are some things that should just remain a mystery. Like, let the mystery be about so many things. In fact, I really feel like we look at ourselves too much, period. I think that's a big problem. I think back in the day, people were like working. They were busy. They didn't have...
We are too, but we look at ourselves while we work. That's the fucking fucked up shit.
Yes, or I'm looking at myself right now because we're recording this over Skype. Like, literally, we look at our faces way too fucking much. I mean, back in the day, it was like you just looked at your face whenever you were like getting ready in the morning in the mirror. And then you went off and you lived your life. And then you came back home and you looked at yourself again to wash off your makeup.
You were like, oh,
and that was fucking
what happened throughout the day.
Right? Yeah. And that's as it should be, I think. Like... we spend way too much time looking at pictures of ourselves and looking at ourselves on TikTok, and it's too much.
The filters and stuff out there, like I truly think that I have the opposite of body dysmorphia, where I'm just like, I literally look so good. I'm like, I think to myself, and then I'll see pictures of me, and I'm like, wait, that's what I look like?
Dude, pictures fucking lie. I'm convinced. I'm truly convinced, because the me in the mirror and the me in tagged photos is not the same person. I don't know
the same person.
Who that is. And the me in selfies, forget about it. Absolutely forget about it. I guess this is a good time to bring up to maybe our younger listeners, but to everybody who takes selfies. Do know, and I know we've been talking, like the internet's been talking about this more lately, that front-facing camera and like the distance that you hold your phone at when you take a selfie distorts your features.
Yep.
You don't look like that. So like if you are like, what, I look, that can't be me. It's because it's not. It's not.
Well, what if you're like, damn, I am fly.
That's the reason why like younger people are doing like all the filler and their lips and all that stuff. I mean, I'm looking at Laura Loomer. I don't like to say anything negative, but
you don't have to say it. We all see it.
You don't have to say
I'm not
it.
blind.
Everyone who's listening, just Google, just do a quick Googs and you draw your own conclusions. And that's all we'll say about that. But you know, actually, while we're on the subject, not of Laura Loomer, but on fillers in general, I've gotten Botox before. I want to preface this by saying it's your face and your body and like you do whatever you want with it. However, there have been studies that have been coming out lately about the way that filler moves around in your face. Oof. And it is enough to have freaked me out about filler. Like, I'm like, I don't know that I'm never say never as you get older, right? But like, it apparently, we've been told forever that filler just kind of dissolves and goes away, and then you get more filler.
Oh no,
it doesn't. It lingers and it moves around, and that's why people who've been doing it for years and years end up with that really puffy face because you're adding more filler on top of filler, and it's not staying where it's placed all the time. Ugh. And so that's why you end up with like a big ass head. That's what
happened to me.
You get
100%.
You get a Laura Loomer head, right?
Yeah.
Like that woman is younger than me, and I can't get over it. I can't get over it.
That's insane.
It's too much. No, but that's, you know, bringing it back again towards like the baby question. First of all, don't have kids. That's what everybody wants you to do. But I'm just kidding.
It's too late for a lot of people on this podcast, including one of our co-hosts here. Yeah.
Sorry.
Too late.
I'm like, fight the power. You don't have to have kids.
Yeah.
And I did.
I'm a proud childless cat lady.
100%. 100%. Yeah. And I love seeing, you know, we haven't really discussed this. I think we've touched on it a little bit, but we haven't really discussed this in detail. But the fixation this election cycle on specifically women, because they're not talking to men who don't have children. They are talking specifically about women.
That's exactly right.
And not even women who don't have kids, because Kamala is a stepmother. It's like they're talking about women who have not physically birthed a child. And it is so weird. It is a very, very strange obsession to have about another person. For time, from the beginning of time, women have either chosen not to have kids or haven't been able to have kids, or whatever circumstances made it to the end of their lives without having children. This is not a new phenomenon. However, you know, having this conversation without also having a conversation about like the socioeconomic reasons why women might not want to have kids. There's so many reasons why you might choose, man or woman, to remain child-free. I don't have kids. Christina doesn't have kids. I don't know if I will ever have kids, you know, and it doesn't make me less invested in the future of our country. It also doesn't mean that I can't influence children in my life, that I'm not invested in my friends' children, my family's children, in wanting to create a better, safer future for those people. It is a very, very, very strange obsession that we are seeing right now.
Let me break it down for you. It's super, super easy. As the birth rate plummets, like our economy is on a fucking razor's edge. And if we're not making little capitalist worker bees, then...
But you know what? Let the trad wives do that shit, okay? They're out here popping out like 8, 9, 10 kids. They got me covered. They had mine. Yeah. Okay?
We're also taking jobs away from hardworking American men. You know, the more that we get educated, the more that we're independent, it's farther and farther away.
Do you want me to participate in the capitalist machine or not? Make up your mind.
Right.
Like, that's the other part of it. It's like
you can't win.
What is that? Like, you want women barefoot, pregnant in the kitchen, but you also want us popping out babies to be potential workers for you. So what about me? I'm working. I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
So, like, what's the problem? I don't understand. Also, like, this idea that there aren't enough people. There's like 8 billion people on the planet. Like,
we're plenty.
We're plenty. We're full up. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
stop
It's
it. We
fine.
can bear it.
Yeah.
Our
So
our
your system
environment
isn't working anymore. It's not because we're not having all the kids you need us to have. That's not a crisis.
Correct.
It's
Right.
and you guys and everybody just is. It's going to be an economic crisis. There's just not enough kids being born.
Not
There's gonna be
only
less
are there
mouths
plenty
to
of
feed.
people,
I don't know.
we also have robots stepping into the ring. Okay,
Amen.
So I'm just like, there's plenty of people. First of all, secondly, we need less people in general to do jobs because you have things like self checkouts and stuff. You don't need like we got robots doing work. Okay, put everybody on a universal basic income and let us fuck off. Drink pina coladas on the beach. Okay,
Ooh.
I love this idea. I love this idea for us.
I do. Yeah,
I'm cats with my cats. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Let's fuck, marry, kill beaches we would like to be sitting on.
No, our favorite childless cat ladies.
Ooh. Okay, I got mine right
that.
away because Tracee Ellis Ross is going viral right now.
Oh,
Talking about being child free at 52.
her.
And
I love it.
She actually, I follow her on Instagram, and part of the reason I follow her, I mean, it's good content. She's a good follow, but like part of the reason why I follow her is because that is my like template for what I want to be when I'm 52. She's so fabulous. She wears whatever she wants. She's living her best fucking life. Like so many selfies on the beach in a bikini. And I'm like, this is amazing. I love this. So she would be my pick.
I have a pick. I am doing Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, okay.
Snap,
And
snap, snap.
I will say it's because I would not know what it is to have endured 20 years of tabloid speculation of
every time she casually touches her belly.
Yes.
There's an article written about it.
It's so absurd.
ridiculous.
And it's like, you don't even know, like, we don't know if she had infertility. In fact, I think she's come out and said that she's had infertility struggles and everything. So it's just like, it's so wrong to comment on.
None of our business.
It's none of our business. None of this is, childless or not.
Just doesn't pan out the way that you think it's going to. And I don't know. It's very possible she's come out and said things about infertility. She's also, I mean, she's gotten married. She's had relationships. They haven't worked out. And sometimes it's a timing thing and it just never worked out time-wise. And for whatever the reason is, it's none of our business. And sometimes people really wanted kids. And for whatever reason, whether it was a biological issue or it was a timing issue, whatever it is, they just, it never happened for them. So fucking stop talking about it.
Yeah. And who gives a shit? None of your business. Once again, I'm going with a classic. I'm going Dolly Parton.
Ooh.
Nice. Oh my God.
I love it. Ooh, this is a fun one.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Fuck, marry, friend. Here we go.
It's gotta be. Yeah, gotta be.
Obviously. Let's not be silly. Of course it is.
Okay.
If Dolly Parton doesn't get a sainthood someday, what are we even doing in this timeline?
I don't know. Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
She should
already. Oh, she's already Saint Dolly to me.
So we've done
this
Dolly
one's
before,
really
and
hard.
I remember that Dolly is a Capricorn. So I do remember that.
That makes sense.
But let me look up the others so we can have just a wee bit more information.
Getting air sign from Tracee Ellis Ross.
I think. Oh wait, what are you gonna guess,
Earth?
Cassie?
I was going to say Earth sign.
I think
She's giving Virgo to me.
she's a Scorpio. October 29th. That's Scorpio, right?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I think so.
Scorpio.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's a Scorpio in October. Scorpio.
Okay.
And then Jennifer Aniston. I think she's like a Cancer or something. Let's see. Oh, she's an Aquarius. Aquarius.
Okay, I was going to say she's giving me air sign.
Air sign. Yeah. Okay. Aquarius, Scorpio, Capricorn. So we got three different. We got Earth, Water, and Air here.
I think I know what I'm going to do, but go ahead. I always feel like I always go first. So somebody else.
Oh, okay. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to marry Tracee Ellis Ross. I see a very calm, stable, like as soon as you said she's like a water sign, I was like, oh, that's good for me. Yeah, that's good for me.
Yeah.
Something that's, just go with the flow, easygoing, keeping me relaxed. I see long, relaxing evenings watching Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, drinking wine and laughing.
Yes. She doesn't take herself too seriously. I love her in interviews. And that's part of what makes her Instagram so much fun to watch, is that she clearly doesn't take herself too seriously. She's willing to be very silly. And I like that. And it's clear that she runs her own account. Yeah. Which is also,
She also has her own hair care line, so you guys will never be hurt.
She does, and I buy her stuff, actually. Pattern.
Oh.
A good plug for Pattern.
Okay, I'm writing that down. Promo code by worst date. No, just kidding. We don't have one yet.
I wish. Tracee, if you're listening, please.
And
we all have curl. We all have curl.
Exactly. And then I'm going to fuck Jennifer Aniston, because she is a very
still a smoke show.
Very smoke show. Very smoke
I bet she's a little freaky too. I get like a little bit of like freaky fun energy from her. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You're gonna friend Dolly?
Oh, in my greatest dreams, I don't even dream that high. You know what I mean?
Right?
I can't even say it out loud. I want to manifest it. Friends with Dolly Parton. Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Actually, I want to have dinner with all three of these women at the same time. Can you
at the same time?
Like the three of us and the three of them, just like a six top at a Applebee's.
The world would explode.
Why is it always an Applebee's? I feel like I've done this before. Like, why is it always an Applebee's? I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
we can aim higher than Applebee's for these ladies. Can you imagine Dolly Parton sitting in an Applebee's?
I actually can. I bet you she'd take it in stride. Yeah. She'd get one of those big ass margaritas that cost like $2.
Be sharing some potato skins with Jennifer Aniston.
Oh yeah, and Jennifer Aniston would eat potato skins, I bet. Okay. Oh, this is hard. I actually get along well with Scorpio women. I have always gotten along well with Scorpio women, so I'm very tempted by that, because I think that it would be a very fun relationship. Plus, you would get to be Diana Ross's daughter-in-law, which
that's right.
Would be amazing.
Can't hurt.
Can't hurt. Yeah, can't hurt. But I think for me, I am going to I'm going to shoot for the stars. I'm going to marry Dolly.
Yes, she is somebody. I think you need somebody really kind.
She's so sweet. She loves animals, but she's also got her shit together.
Goats.
Yeah. And I just think that I would love it. We could do like volunteer work together. I feel like,
totally. You would do so much like nonprofit work. Oh, yeah. Be great.
And there's also something very calming about her. She's got a very like calming energy, which sometimes I need. I'm gonna fuck Tracee Ellis Ross.
Hell
She's
yeah.
a Scorpio. We all know they're freaks in the sheets, and like she also just gives me, she's uninhibited in a way that like I bet she tries things. She's not like out front with it. She doesn't talk about sex all the time or much at all, but I bet it's in there, and I bet it's good. Like I just get a sense that it's good. And then I'm gonna friend Jennifer Aniston. I think that she's a great friend. From everything that I've seen her relationship with Courtney Cox, she manages to hold on to friendships and relationships, like friendship relationships for long periods of time, which tells me that she's probably a pretty good friend.
Real ride or die.
Yeah, she's a real ride or die. So I'm gonna friend Jen.
I want to go shopping with her.
Me too.
Oh. So true.
A shopping trip with her and Tracee, I think, would be like, that would yield really interesting results.
I'm going to marry Jennifer Aniston. Because I just feel like, well, yeah, she was the Aquarius. That makes the most sense for me. It totally does. She's got this great energy about her. And like you said, she just seems like one of those people who's like.
She's the funniest too. Out of all of them. So that makes sense. I think you like, somebody with a good sense of humor.
Wry sense of humor too. Like, right? Like a good sense of humor about themselves too. Like, because I think that too, like the stuff that she's in, it always kind of shows her in that light where she kind of can make fun of herself.
Well, she chooses
like where somebody
those
would take
roles, I
themselves
think.
right.
You know, yeah.
And where some people would, if you took yourself so seriously, you would never be able to take a role like that.
Right.
And I think that kind of shows the kind of character she is.
Yeah.
This is tough, but I think I'm gonna fuck Tracee Ellis Ross. In my mind, she's incredibly tall.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
I don't know
She
if that's
gives
true.
very tall energy,
She
but
gives tall
I'm
energy.
not sure if she actually is or not. But
Yeah.
yes.
But yeah, Aries Scorpio, it can only happen once. Let's put it that way.
You're gonna set those sheets on fire for
Just-
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just gonna smoke, just so much smoke, fire and water. Yeah.
Love it.
And then but in the end we know it's not good for either of us.
Mhm.
So we're just gonna,
One
love
and
them
done.
and leave them.
Yeah.
Yeah, love them and leave them. And then Dolly, I wish, I mean, honestly, there's so much about Dolly Parton's voice. Just listening to Dolly Parton talk, I've told you guys this before. She sounds just like my grandmother.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So it just has such a like sweet, melodic, soft. There's the Appalachian,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. It's such a specific sound, and her voice sounds just like my grandmother when she talks.
We have so many like devices in our lives. Why isn't one of the robots using Dolly Parton's voice?
I don't know. You know what? I bet
Honestly.
you it's an extension you can get for Alexa. You know, for a while you could use Samuel L. Jackson's voice with your Alexa.
I did not know that.
You could, and
I would have totally done that.
yes, and I bet you there's something like that for Dolly. There has to be.
Yeah.
I want Dolly
Like on
giving me
Waze.
directions. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do you remember when Waze did all those voices?
I don't. 'Cause I
Yes.
never used Waze because it burned me one time, and I was like, never
Yep.
again.
Fuck you,
Never
Waze.
again.
Dude, I got a route over the hill one time here in LA using Waze that I swear to God, I was on the dirt path on the side of a mountain. I was like, how did I get here? This doesn't look like a street. Like, I am in the woods.
Which is hard to do in Los Angeles,
Like,
honestly.
somebody's driveway?
Right.
Did not know where I was. It was literally just like overlooking the city, like on this dirt path, like a 1-car dirt path. I'm like,
Holy shit.
I
in
would
a
start to
street?
panic. I would start to panic.
Oh my God.
I started
This
to
is a
panic
hiking trail, isn't it?
yesterday. I was at the Dolby Theater in Hollywood yesterday, and I was
Mhm.
in the parking garage, and I could not I got lost in the parking garage. I was like, how?
Oh.
I just kept going deeper and deeper down.
Oh.
And I'm like, no, this isn't
How?
right. To try and figure out how to get myself turned around. I was panicked because there was like a line of cars behind me. I'm like, how do I
Oh,
turn
no.
around?
and then there's like people following you, probably being like, what the hell is this chick doing?
G doing?
Where are we going?
I don't know. I don't know, dude. I don't know where I'm going.
Don't follow me. I don't know where I'm going.
ever follow me anywhere. Truly, I have no sense of direction. It's a mistake.
Oh.
Well, we do have 2 new patrons. Very exciting.
Yeah.
That we want to give a big patron welcome to. So a big shout out to Angela May. Thank you for joining us on Patreon. And also Sachi Merotra. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. We are so grateful as always to all of our patrons. Thank you so much for joining us
Yeah.
there.
Welcome.
Truly, we could not keep this podcast running if it wasn't for you. So thank you so
That's-
much.
Mhm.
So true. And you guys got a great movie coming out next month. Next month in October.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's spooky season. We're going to be reviewing Talented Mr. Ripley.
I'm
Keegan's
excited
choice.
about
Yeah.
that one. It's been a while since I've seen it, and it is like, it's not like a horror movie spooky, but it is just kind of like unsettling and weird, like weird
Never seen it.
relationships.
Me either. I've never
Mhm.
seen it.
I've never seen it, which is wild.
Yeah. Well, you guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with stories?
Yes.
That sounds good.
And we're back. Okay, Cass, kick us off with stories.
All right. So, a friend brings a date to a party. Absolute hell breaks loose. This is less of a dating hell story and more of a cautionary tale about knowing who you're dating and, more importantly, who their friends are. Background.
Ooh.
this happened while I was in college, 2015 or so. And my friend, let's call him Danny, had recently started seeing this girl he'd met dating online. Danny was 21 and he had never had a girlfriend or much dating experience. So this was a big deal that he had gone on several dates with this girl. And let's call her Sammy. Sammy was from a town a few miles outside of the city. We went to college and so they had to commute a little bit to see each other. But it was clear they were into one another. One weekend, Danny, myself, and several other friends were at another friend's house to party pregame before heading out to the bars. Danny tells me he wants to bring Sammy, and none of us object to that. She was 19 at the time, but none of us had any issue with it. Sammy arrives to the house, and to our surprise, has brought 3 of her friends with her who none of us knew or had any indication were going to be there.
Can I pause and say that that's rude? Like, like you have to tell someone if you're bringing people over. It's not like you can't, right? Because I can see, especially at 19, she probably felt safer having people with her. She's it's intimidating. She's about to like go into her boyfriend's group of people. Sure. I get that, but like if you're going over to someone else's house, it's respectful to let them know that you're bringing other people in. Like,
and 19 is, like you said, 19 is one of those weird ages where you're kind of grown. You're like, oh, I can go out. I can do things. I can.
You certainly think you're grown for sure.
Yeah, you sure think you are. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, there's like you said, an intimidation factor. So you're like, oh, maybe I bring someone along, but bringing 3 people along, that feels
not without letting them know, and especially if it's a casual hang. Yeah. That's very different than a party, right? Like if it's a house party, that maybe is a different situation. You can text and say like, oh, like I'm bringing some friends to the party or whatever. But it's like, you got to get specific. If we're just like kicking it, watching fucking,
pre-dating.
Just hanging out, you got to let me know how many, who are they?
It's also like, there's different kinds of parties. And I think that you learn that when you get older, like you get to read the room and say, okay, this is the party level that is acceptable in this. Like you can't go to like a chill pregame kind of thing and then get like turn it to 11, get wasty or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yes, we're not doing shots. All right.
We're not turning up.
Chill.
It sounded more like we're gonna have this little get together kind of party, then go out to the clubs type of thing. Right. So to me, I'm like, I don't even know if I would call that a house party. So
that's
much
not
as
a party.
Just
that's a pregame.
Pregame. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're all taken aback and get upset that Danny didn't know they were coming, but wanting to make a good impression assures us that they will be fine being there and that Sammy won't let anything happen. Famous fucking last words. That's a lot.
Also, I'm sorry, if you have the type of friends that you need to warn somebody, like, don't worry, I won't let anything happen. Why are you even saying that? Were you worried something was going to happen?
What kind of things would happen?
Is something happening?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sammy's not going to let anything happen. Don't worry about it. They then proceed to drink the rest of the beer and liquor we had there. It wasn't a big gathering. Got wasted in about an hour. So much so that one of Sammy's friends starts throwing beer cans at us and projectile vomits all over the kitchen.
Get out of my house.
Oh,
you know what? I gotta be honest. I'm already side-eyeing, like, again, 19, the early 20s, whatever. But like, you get grown and you bring your own shit whenever you're going over to someone else's house. And then like once you've contributed, then you guys can share what is there. But you have to bring an offering,
I think,
to the table.
Absolutely. And I think too, you shouldn't, if you only brought like a bottle of wine, you shouldn't be drinking 3 bottles of wine during the night.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or like, what I'm saying, like, you should bring, you brought like 2 beers and you're going to drink all.
However, I am going to say that this is how you learn party etiquette.
That's right.
These are like 18, 19-year-olds who are
the real kicker. The real kicker. That girl was 16 years old.
Oh no.
You get. I feel like you can get charged with like corrupting a minor or something like that.
This feels illegal. This feels felonious.
Sammy failed to mention that, and we are mad as can be at Danny. As soon as we found out, we told Danny to get Sammy and her friends out of there as quickly as possible, which he does and gets them all back home. The next day, Danny says he got them back safe. However, we're also pissed at him for potentially getting us in some serious trouble. We come to find out later that the same 16-year-old also happened to be the daughter of a meth kingpin who operated in the state where I went to college.
You see, yeah, you got to get, I'm requesting a full background check on like people who are coming over. You can't just bring randos into my house.
So in a lot of ways, we all dodged a massive bullet. We tell Danny he can't bring Sammy or her friends to any more of our parties. Danny and Sammy proceeded to date for another 2 years after that. And it's a story I will always remind him of when I see him. Moral of the story, know the company you keep. And more importantly, the company of the people you date keep.
Yeah, no. You organized crime.
That's
like, no, thank you. We'd be freaking out.
No kingpins invited to the party, for sure.
No.
Oh, okay. This is a listener story. So reminder, please send in your listener stories. We're always so excited to see one in the inbox. It says, I was in my mid-20s and used to watch football with my friends at a bar in a college town. We went every Sunday and had our usual spot in the back. I met a guy who was always in our same area. I feel like you do get to know people like that. Like whenever you go to it, like I used to go to Buffalo Wild Wings every Sunday with people to watch football, and you like form a little.
Wait. What? You used to do what? Yes.
It wasn't, I wasn't doing it for
I know,
me.
that wasn't me talking. And I think that's weird. Because I'm like, it's totally relatable.
For me, like, I wasn't going to watch football for myself. Okay. I truly, you know what? Really what it was my weekly Bloody Mary session. I was going to have like a good Bloody Mary.
Sunday fun day.
But yes. Okay. We started talking. He asked for my number and then asked if he could take me out to dinner after the game next week. Next Sunday rolls around and I show up to the bar and go to my usual spot. He isn't there and doesn't show up until the first quarter is almost done. Him and his friends walk in, and instead of coming to their usual spot, they stay over by the bar, and I can tell they're pretty drunk already. Par for the course, honestly.
Yeah.
For I remember Sunday games in like Buffalo Wild Wings or one of those kinds of settings, it's airport rules.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's like people are taking shots at like 10 in the morning, you know?
Exactly.
People are getting drunk before noon, you know?
Day drunk. Yeah.
So this is not surprising to me whatsoever. They start downing drinks and he doesn't come over to say hi to me, but instead he and his friends start chatting up some girls. Rude. At halftime, he comes over and says, "Oh, I didn't know you were here." You asked me on a date. You asked me on a date for today. Plus, I'm always here. What do you mean?
Where would I be?
Right.
Yeah.
And she says, as if I hadn't been in the same area every Sunday that season. He asks if we're still on for dinner. So it's not like he forgot. What? And I agree. Then he goes back to his friend and the two girls. What's happening? This is so rude. I'd be like, no, we're not going to dinner anymore.
No.
We're not going.
Yeah.
Something came up.
You're clearly busy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I should have just went home after the game, but I was young and thought this might get better. It didn't. I had to drive him to dinner because he had been drinking so much. Our big dinner date
We're done.
was at...
Seriously, we're done.
No. You're not in a place to have a date. You're not, this isn't, you know. Our big dinner date was a wing spot nearby. I feel like you didn't even need to leave the bar, you know? Like,
You wanted wings. You're in the spot where they make wings, my dude.
Okay.
We get inside and his friend and the two girls that they met at the bar that day, the two girls are already there. They're sitting at a long table where everyone faces the same way. He takes a seat at the end.
What is this, the last fucking supper?
Right.
Oh,
What?
shit.
Who's doing that? That's so weird. Again, it feels like a bar. You know,
Yes.
like everyone's facing the same direction.
Yeah.
Also, this isn't a date. I need to
No.
know how old these people are. Because
16. No.
Yeah. Seriously.
he takes a seat at the end next to one of the girls, and I end up sitting on the other side of him. He sits with his back to me, facing the other girls and his friend pretty much the entire meal.
Oh,
It was
no.
like,
Bah.
why am I even here? Yeah, I was just your ride. I was a Uber driver for this
Yeah. You were
situation.
DD essentially.
Yeah. It was as if I was the fifth wheel on their date, and I felt so humiliated.
Ugh.
The thing that finally did it for me was when he started getting the other girl's number. I asked the waiter if
Unbelievable.
I could pay for my food, and the guy turned and asked me, "What's wrong?"
I'm sorry, what?
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
What?
I said that he was clearly here on another date and I was leaving. He asked why I would think that. I said, "You were just getting a girl's number right in front of me." He said, "Oh no, she just got a call from a number she didn't know and I was checking it for her."
Okay.
Checking it for what?
Right.
Wow. And also, like, how insulting. So now you're gaslighting me?
Yeah.
You also think I'm stupid.
Yeah.
On top of everything else, you also think I'm an idiot.
Also, what's this other girl think? Like, why is she like,
Yeah, she's like, "Who's that? Your sister? Why'd she tag along?" You know what I mean?
right?
Weird.
Oh, don't worry about her.
Yeah.
And one side, and the other. What's wrong?
She's just the driver.
He was hedging his bets. He wanted a backup,
Woof.
I think is really what was happening here.
Fucking gross.
I paid for my food, left, and never went out with him again. I'd still see him at the bar every once in a while, but he was usually pretty drunk, so we didn't chat. You
Yeah.
dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
You dodged a bullet there. You don't
Yeah.
want it. Despite, I mean, outside of the fact that he was clearly super, super inconsiderate, it's also not a good look to be that wasted every time you see somebody.
No.
Yeah.
That's not like, it's not
It's
cute.
concerning.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not cutesy nor demure.
No,
Not
neither.
mindful at all. He's not
No.
very mindful.
Totally. Okay. Ready for this wild ride. Okay. So she says, I, 62 female, have been single for over 31 years, married
Wow.
once. I'll never do it again.
Wow.
Go, girl.
I love it. I love it
Yeah.
already. About 8 years ago, and at the encouragement from my sister and a friend, I went on a dating app and was lucky that I had a few people to chat with. One gentleman, in quotes, I'll call Bob, and I chatted for a week and agreed to meet up at a restaurant close to my home. All good. We met up and went into the restaurant and sat down. He was very nice looking and smelled great. Bars on the floor here.
Yeah,
Well,
truly.
yeah.
Yeah,
You just
we-
have you showered today?
Ah,
You're already winning.
We started chatting.
is that
and it was-
Irish Spring?
we started
You know what? We
chatting.
don't talk. I'm sorry. We don't talk enough about how Irish Spring is the goat. Like
It is.
everybody uses it and no one talks about it ever.
It is goat.
And it
Absolutely.
does. It smells good.
It smells nice.
Yeah.
It smells
smells
fresh.
nice.
You
It's
smell
fresh.
clean whenever
Yes.
you've used it.
My whole
Okay.
bathroom smells clean after I use it. What are you talking about? So
Once again, not sponsored.
Not
Irish
spon- no.
Spring, if you're out there, I don't hear you advertising on podcasts
not
enough.
enough. They're
Yeah.
like, we don't need to advertise. As you said, everyone uses
Everybody
us.
knows. Everybody knows. Nobody talks
Everyone
about it.
knows.
Everybody knows.
Oh my God. Speaking of advertisements, this is way off topic, but have you guys seen Nutter Butter's TikTok account?
Oh my God.
No.
Yes. Dude, I don't know what the fuck's going on over there. There was like, I saw a TikTok of a millennial who was talking about like, we all thought it was fun and games and funny and cutesy whenever people started letting they're like, my Gen Z intern is managing
yeah.
my TikTok account. Well, now somebody has let a Gen Alpha take over.
Oh,
and
no.
it
It is
I'm
a
scared.
fever dream.
I'm
It is
scared.
a fever dream.
I actually like I went to the Nutter Butter account and I was like, how bad can it be? And then I like
can't
opened
wait.
it and I was like, it is Skibbity Toilet.
They're
Yeah.
putting the nutter in butter.
Yeah.
It's
Truly.
I'm genuinely like, I've never felt so old because I'm just like, I truly don't understand.
I don't get it.
The next generation that's coming up. I'm like, I never thought this would be me. I thought I was staying on top of it. I'm like hanging with the kids. Like I thought that I was like,
millennials aren't boomers. Sorry.
Oh my God. I was like,
kids these days.
Cassie, you haven't seen it.
I've
okay. You have not seen the Nutter Butter account.
I can't wait though. Do you think immediately when we go to break, I'm not going to pull up Nutter Butter account?
Oh my God. I was like, that is the most unhinged content I've ever seen in my life. I
can't wait. It sounds stupid.
It doesn't make any sense. Anywho, we start chatting and it was effortless and I felt comfortable with him. We ordered specialty burgers, shakes, and a bottomless basket of fries. Lunch was great and so was the company. That sounds great. I'm actually kind of hungry.
Sounds perfect.
I'm about to go to Cafe 50s and just order myself a basket of fries and a chocolate shake. That sounds like a wonderful afternoon.
It sounds perfect.
Take myself on a date.
Bob then starts telling me he began his career in health services, but 10 years prior, he changed professions because he'd come into a business opportunity and he'd also come into some money at that time. So he went for it.
Scam.
Can't remember the business. Something to do with boats. But he went on and on about how successful and wealthy he was. Bob told me his business was on a bit of a downturn, but he had a meeting with his shareholders later that evening.
No. I'm having flashbacks. Flashbacks of that story that Christina told.
Janitor.
It's just business talk, shareholders, meetings, bottom line, synergy. You're like, oh no.
ROI.
No.
KPIs. Racy. Oh my God. At this point, I noticed he kept checking his watch and his phone. He appeared a little on edge. I asked Bob if he had somewhere else he had to be, to which he replied he had a very important meeting with shareholders at 6. It was only 2 p.m. So we arrive at my apartment building and he quickly got out, ran around to my car door and opened it for me. Bob then escorted me to the front door of my building and I started getting the sense that because he had bought me a burger, that he thought I would repay his kindness by sleeping with him. Yeah,
I thought you had a big meeting coming up. Don't you need to focus?
Sorry. We don't got time.
Like,
you don't got time.
For this.
Shareholders. You gotta get to them. Yep. So... yeah, right. I kissed him on his cheek and said I had a nice time and maybe we can do it again. I then left him outside the front door of our building. It's now 4 p.m. Yes, time is important. The next day, I texted him to say I'd had a nice time and we should do it again.
He's like, I'm still out front.
He hadn't blocked me, but it was ghosting in my eyes. Went on with my day and didn't think any more about it. I sat down to watch the evening news and the third story caught my eye.
No. Oh my God.
No.
A story about a guy who had been given the task of being in charge of his grandparents' money as neither of them were well enough to do it on their own.
Oh no.
Oh no.
They showed a guy wearing an orange jumpsuit standing in the prisoner's dock in a courtroom. It was Bob.
Oh.
After picking my jaw up from the floor, I listened. Turns out Bob used his grandparents' money to fund a few of his business ideas, fully intent on paying it back. And he lost everything. They showed his sister and his poor 93-year-old grandmother outside the courthouse, and she was telling journalists how she had enough to live in her care home for only 2 more months, and then she had no money left and no home.
Oh no.
His sister was the one that found out what Bob had been doing, and his sister called the police on him.
I love my brothers, but I would turn on them so fast. So fast.
Outrageous.
They're fucking with my grandma?
Oh.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, making Meemaw homeless? No, we're not doing that. The appointment Bob had the day before was not with the shareholders. Well,
for court.
No shit.
Sheriff. I said sheriff. It's sheriff.
He was supposed to turn himself in to be processed and to hear his sentence. He had already been convicted while I was at lunch with him.
Look.
Oh my God.
Men are so bold. Like, I wish I had this much confidence. You scheduled a date?
Yeah.
Before you had to turn
scheduled a
yourself
date
in?
On the same day you had to turn yourself in. Like, that is that's incredible.
Insane.
Like, wow.
Yeah. That is, well, first of all, time management. I always like to be on time and like early to everything. Like the thought of being late
I'd be
stresses
sweating.
me out.
Oh, I'd be sweating.
Yeah.
There's no way. Even if I was thinking that whenever it was a shareholders meeting, like I had a board meeting that I needed to run for my nonprofit a couple of weeks ago. I took the whole day off of my day job.
Yep.
Because I was like, I have to focus. Like, if there's like a big meeting coming up, I'm not scheduling anything else that day. The day is set aside to focus on the thing I need to focus on. If I had to go to court,
No.
clear my schedule. No.
First of all, having gone to the courthouse before to file for divorce, that's also like a complicated process, like finding parking.
Yeah.
Or, whatever.
That's why I was
checked in.
Watch it too.
Oh my God. It's so terrible.
Oh my
So
God.
she says, that was the last date I ever went on. Also, Bob got 9 years in federal prison for embezzlement and fraud.
Oh, you were his last date before he went to jail for 9
Oh my God.
years.
No wonder he wanted to get
Wow.
laid.
Yeah, that's why he wanted to get laid. He's like, I might not feel the touch of a woman for a while,
He got that kiss on the cheek, thank God.
Yeah. Something to keep you warm at night, Bob.
Oh man.
Think about that next time you
Yikes.
steal from your grandparents, you monster. Oh my God.
That's
Wow.
another level. Stealing from your
Gross.
grandparents is so like, disgusting.
Yeah, I actually think it's worse than stealing from your parents. There's something about it.
Somehow.
Yes.
Yeah, somehow
Right?
it's worse. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. Oof.
Well, you guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with the Tainted Love?
Sounds
Let's do
good.
Cool.
And we're back. And I have the Tainted Love story for us this week. And I think I would guess that you guys have heard this story. And I'd heard it because I'd heard it before, but it kind of popped up again out of nowhere. I don't even remember what exactly where I'd seen it originally, but then I was scrolling on something on like on Universal, whatever their platform is, ABC thing. Peacock, that's the one.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's NBC, by the way.
oh, wait, yeah, yes, NBC.
Yes.
Sorry, Peacock. And it was one of those shows like accident, suicide.
Oh,
or
I love
murder.
that show. That show is,
yes.
if you're looking for content, unfortunately, there's a lot of shows you can watch if you're looking for content for this,
True.
for our Tainted Love portion, but that is a good go-to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, it's murder.
Oh,
Yeah. Like always.
It almost always is on that show. I don't
Exactly.
even know why it's
I
called
don't
that.
think
Because
I've
I'm like,
ever once caught one that was like
100%.
it was definitely an accident.
it was an accident. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Surprise.
Suicide? Nope. It was murder. It was murder. All right. So this story takes place in Murphy, California, and it's about Christina and Karl Karlsen. Christina, nice girl, born in Oklahoma. Her and her family moved to California, to Northern California, like when she's in like her youth. And so she really spends like most of her growing up in California. She meets Karl at an Air Force dance. They're both, they must both have been in the military, but because they meet at an Air Force dance.
Mhm.
Who is naming their child Karl
Karlsen. I was gonna let that pass too, but I did notice.
Yeah, no, that is very common, like Norwegian, Swedish thing going on
is
there.
it?
Oh yeah,
I feel like people do that all the time. Like
Chris Christopherson. Karl Karlsen.
We gotta nip that in the butt. Like there is a guy who's like kind of famous in my hometown because he's like he always has those like big billboards and he does those like local TV ads. You know, there's always like somebody. It's like a local celebrity. But he's famous for being like a doctor and a lawyer, so he can like help you out and whatever.
That feels unfocused.
His name, Focus on one. You can't be really good at two things. Just be really good at one
to juggle.
thing. Yeah. But his name is Brad Bradshaw.
I hate it.
And I'm like, why would your parents do that to you? If your last name is Bradshaw, you should not.
Dr. Brad Bradshaw.
Yes.
Paging
Dr. Esquire.
Paging Dr. Bradshaw. Dr. Brad Bradshaw.
God.
We need you in
locals.
obstetrics.
All the locals who listen to this podcast they know exactly. They know.
That's
Brad Bradshaw.
wild. That's
called Brad
wild.
Bradshaw.
She meets Karl Karlsen at an Air Force dance. They are married fairly quickly, but they moved to New York actually to be close to Karl's family. But the costs are creeping up. Debts are becoming an issue. So Christina says, you know what? I think we should move back to California, where my family's from. It's a small town. It's going to be much more reasonable, be a nice, quiet place for the kids to be for us to raise kids, have a family. And so they do. They move back to this small town in California called Murphy, California. And, it's close to her family and her parents. And her parents, seem to be, accepting of Karl. Like, he's their brother or son-in-law, but they do start to see some reddish flags. Like they kind of get the impression that he doesn't really let her leave the house without him. Some controlling behaviors that they're like, I don't like that. I don't really like that.
So did they not meet him before they got married?
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they met him, in that way. But, it's a difference between meeting someone at a wedding, meeting them on their best behavior, and then living near someone and seeing those daily behaviors in practice, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a lot different when maybe she's not able to come to our house if he doesn't come with her or, things like that. It wasn't said that specifically, but it does kind of give the impression that she wasn't really,
for me.
That'd be an issue.
Yeah.
And so, they, like I said, they'd seen some red flags that they were kind of like, no, nothing so concerning that they were like 911, but like, that's something to put a pen in,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So on the morning of early in the morning, New Year's Day, 1991, January 1st, an early morning call comes into the fire department. The house is on fire, and it's the house of Karl and Christina. Karl and Christina live in this kind of a bit of a ramshackle type of rental. It was an old miner's house. It was decades old, and not the most well-built structure, not the most secure structure in the planet, but definitely could do. And they live there with their 3 children. So when the firefighters arrive to the house, they encounter Karl, who's frantic. He's freaking out. He is there with his small children, and he was able to pull them out of their bedroom windows, but he was not able to save his wife. The firefighters also unable to save his wife. So the house, again, kind of an older structure, not necessarily the best built structure, and doesn't have good heating. And in Northern California, you're going to want some pretty good heating because it gets chilly up there.
Were there
space heaters
involved here? Yeah.
So yes and no. So he tells first responders that his kids had just laid down and for a little nap, and Christina, his wife, had gone in to take a bath. And because it was so cold in the house, he had run up to the attic to move the heater fan. They have a heater fan in an attic, and he had moved it so that it would blow more in her direction, toward the direction of the bathroom.
Stupid question. What is a heater fan?
Girl, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought maybe you guys all lived in cold climate. I mean, I did too, but not as an adult. So I'm I don't know. Maybe this is a well-known thing. Because to me, the idea of having a heater fan in a...
You didn't?
I had space heaters, but the idea of having a heater fan in an attic sounds like a fire to me.
It does.
It
does. Fire to me too.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
But that's not even what he suggests. Wow, I am real bad at words. And that's not what he even suggests might have caused it. He says that when he came downstairs, he had used one of those lamps, like a heavy duty lamp that you would hang to when you're working,
like a construction lamp, like one of those metal. And they look like metal bowls. Okay.
Exactly like that. And so he said, I used one of those when I went upstairs to move the fan. And he says, I think I set it on the table. I'm thinking that maybe, I don't know, did it fall off and cause a fire? Like, that's what he's saying. He says that he wasn't in the house when the fire started because he was out in their shed area. Like they have like a little off building, which he was doing some work in. And all of a sudden he said he heard the screams coming from his wife, Christina. And so he ran to the house and saw that it was catching fire. So he went to all the windows, grabbed the kids out, was able to save the kids, but wasn't able to get to his wife. The firefighters noticed a couple of things that were very disturbing to them. First and foremost, there was a big wooden board covering the window to the bathroom that had been nailed in from the inside. And so they're like, that's really weird. Why is that nailed up? And they said, well, it was so cold and in the bathroom and they didn't have enough money to like get better windows or fix the windows. So he just nailed up a board to keep it, the wind out.
It's not the craziest thing I've ever heard.
No, it's not the craziest thing I've ever heard. Money's tight, whatever. But the other thing is that he says they had smelled kerosene when they came in. The firefighters are like, why do we smell kerosene? And he's like, when the water pipes froze, we actually had to bring water in from the outside to flush the toilets and to use for like the bathroom and whatnot. And Christina had accidentally grabbed a bottle of kerosene instead of water and brought it in the house.
Okay, no. Yeah,
and
you lost me.
You
had me
one of
in
the
the
pets
first
knocked
half.
it over. So
you had me in the first half. You lost me. Like no, I don't think that.
No?
There's too many coincidences. And also, are you keeping water and kerosene in the same kind of container where that
feels weird
be mixed up?
And also, too, have you ever seen kerosene in a water bottle?
Yeah. No. It's weird.
It's in a totally different type of container. I'm so confused. So anyway, they were
and
like,
also one of the pets knocked it over. So this kerosene container that you had was just like, it wasn't sealed.
Oh, this was a couple days before. It was a couple days before. She had brought it in.
A couple days before.
The kerosene had spilled on the floor a couple days before.
No, I'm sorry. Like kerosene has a really strong smell. I feel
exactly. You're not going to clean that shit up.
Yeah.
So at any rate, they're like, so many like really happenstance things just led to this catastrophic accident from happening, right? Investigators continue to find out what's going on. And he is just, trying to find out, determine whether this is an accident, trying to determine like what happened. They do an autopsy on Christina and they find that she has soot all over her body. It was one of the first things they saw. There was soot all over her body. There was soot in her lungs. And so they did determine that she was killed by smoke inhalation. She had no fire, like she wasn't burnt at all. So the fire itself didn't kill her. It was the smoke inhalation. So they were like, yeah, I mean, pretty cut and dry here. It looks like it was an accident, right? The family, though, were just like, nah, I don't think so. Families be heroes in this story. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm. They often are.
Yeah. The morning after Christina's family meets with him and he's like, oh, what a wild accident. So, basically, I'm thinking about taking the kids with me and we're going to go back to New York. And he does the very next day.
Okay.
Oh my
up and leaves.
God.
You don't even
Takes the
stay
kids.
to help plan the funeral.
They don't go to a funeral. He doesn't even pick out a gravestone. He doesn't pick out a coffin. He don't do shit.
I feel like I say this all the time, not to give criminals tips.
But be less suspicious, for Christ's sake.
It's like, maybe it's because I was a theater kid, and it's like, you maintain character till you're off the stage, okay?
Right.
Like,
Truly.
if you want people to believe this was an accident, you play the part of the grieving husband until it is done and dusted, which means you don't move anywhere. You plan the best funeral you can. You pick out the best gravestone. You cry convincingly. Okay? You don't this is the most suspicious shit.
Insane. But at that point, the police were like, we don't really have enough evidence to prove that he did anything. He's explained away all these questions we had, and plus he's gone now, and we're a small California town that has not got the money to invest in this type of investigation. But the family is like, we're gonna go take a look. So it was on the 7th, so 6 days later after the initial investigation goes, is done and dusted, the family goes out and they film the property. They walk around gathering some evidence of their own, things that just weren't adding up. First of all, yes, there's a board on the window, but it was hammered from the inside. He probably could have just pushed it inward, if anything. There's just a lot of things that don't add up. And if you see the house, it's one of the only things that's still so clearly visible is this untouched by fire piece of wood that's blocking the window where she's at. It's insane.
Weird.
It's weird, right? So you're just why wouldn't he have tried? He clearly couldn't have tried, right? So they're videoing the property. They bring it to the police, but again, small town, limited resources, not enough evidence. Plus Karl's already gone. They're just we can't really pursue anything when we don't have the evidence to pursue.
Oh my God. I meant losing your daughter and then your grandkids the very next day. My heart hurts for them.
Oh, devastating. That's it's across the entire country. That's not they just moved a state over or town over. They moved across the country entirely. So at this point, insurance is yeah, okay, accidental death, $250,000 insurance policy. Here you go. And, life moves on. A year later, Karl has used some of that money to buy property on his family's farmstead, and they settle into Seneca County, New York. It's around this time that he meets a new woman, Cindy Best, while out line dancing. I can just see them boot scooting boogieing.
Yeah. I mean, look, I am an advocate for meeting people in person. And
and it's 1992,
good,
right?
Yeah. Good way to connect.
Just get your ass out there and line dance. Cindy this is two people though he's met dancing. So he clearly has a strategy.
Moves.
Yeah, he must have moves. Cindy, though, is immediately taken by this hardworking widow. He's raising 3 children on his own. He's lost his first wife. So, he's apparently a good dancer, right? But it's 17 years later since Christina has passed, and a call from Cindy comes in to the police. There has been an accident involving her stepson. She said a truck fell off the jack.
Oh my God. And I know this
on
one
his
now.
Chest. Yeah. Truck fell off its jack and landed on her son's chest. Karl tells the police that Levi had been over that day to help him work on a farm truck. He and Cindy had left him there to attend a funeral for some family members of Cindy's. And when they returned, Karl went in to check on him, and he had found him crushed under the truck. 23-year-old Levi was a young dad, seemingly just died of this tragic accident. No autopsy was involved, and, there's just nothing, just tragic accident. So, plagued by bad accidents, right? 4 years later, a mysterious call comes into the police department saying that they thought there was more to this accident and that they should look into Levi's father, Karl. The person calling eventually admits that she is the cousin of Levi's. Her name is Jackie. And she says that over the years, she had heard some suspicious things, including that after the death of the kid's mother, Christina, the kids hadn't seen any of the money from the insurance, not a penny. But Jackie says it's something that even more shocking to investigators, that Cindy herself thought that Karl might have dropped the truck on Levi for the insurance money. His own wife.
his insurance.
Your own son. That is I mean, we've heard stories of people killing their kids before, which is one of the most horrific things I can think of. But to kill your son in that way, in a way that is incredibly painful,
Violent.
and I'm sure he didn't die right away.
So then,
horrible.
Jumping the gun here, but this man has taken a mother away from their children, mother away from them, and now has taken young children's father away from them.
How many kids did they have?
There were 3 kids with Karl and Christina. Yes. So 2 girls and 1 boy.
Those 2 remaining children. I could not. Your father killed your mother and your brother.
Yeah.
And you have to live with that.
Well, and so we're talking 17 years since Christina died when Levi died. So 17 years later. And then so 18, 19, 20, 21 years later is now when they're looking into all these accidents, right? So please take a look at some of the insurance claims. In both cases, Karl had taken out a policy very, very shortly before the accidental deaths.
Oh, Jesus.
Both in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Police decide to take a risk, see if Cindy would...
Sorry, pause. Taking out a life insurance claim on your adult son...
Yeah,
yes,
I'll explain it.
That's weird behavior.
What I was just going to say.
Alex, yes. I'll talk to you about it.
I feel like that would be okay. All right.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about how it comes to how it comes to be, because I also same
That's
thing.
Strange.
I wouldn't take a life insurance policy out on my son, my 20-something-year-old son. It is weird, because why should I benefit for a person who's out living on their own and taking care of themselves? His girlfriend should take care of, I mean, unless it was like, I don't know. I mean, I imagine
if you're unmarried,
enough to cover
or whatever, like your mom might be your beneficiary on whatever kind of policy you have. That
maybe to take care of your expenses or whatever you've
that makes sense to me, but that would be me making that decision, right?
Yes.
That like my mom is my beneficiary. That's not my mom taking out a life insurance policy on me.
Yeah.
That's unusual, I think. Like, maybe I'm wrong.
Agree.
I don't work in insurance, but that seems weird.
I think it's weird. So police, though, decide they're going to take the risk. This is the big risk they're going to take. They're going to see if they can get Cindy to have a talk with them, right? They don't know where her head's at. They do know that Jackie had told them that they had been estranged at this point, and I think that's kind of why. But then too, it's like, are they estranged? And now she's like ready to talk shit. You don't know. You never know where people are.
Sure.
So they decide to reach out. Cindy fully cooperates. She's like, so let me tell you a little something. She said that Levi and Karl had been at odds for years. They never saw eye to eye, constantly were fighting. And he didn't like, Karl didn't like the girl that Levi was settling down with, and didn't like their house that he bought. Didn't
controlling person.
Yes. Yep. But that recently they had been patching things up. It was Karl's idea to take him down to the insurance company, get a little policy put in place, get it written up. He's going to pay for it. If anything should happen to him, heaven forbid, I'll take care. I'm going to pay for your policy.
I gotta say, a weird way to patch up a relationship between parent and like if I was having a rocky time with my parent and they were like, you know what? Water under the bridge. Let's move on. And as a gesture of good faith, I will pay for your insurance policy.
Yeah. It feels like a red flag. Yeah.
But you trust your parents, right?
Yeah, no, not if they killed my mom.
But I guess you believe that he didn't kill your mom. You have to believe that, I suppose.
Well, say that you didn't. There's still the matter of life insurance money and not receiving any of that from your mother. You know what I mean? Because I kind of feel like
you should be getting some death benefits. Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Cindy says that, so guess when this happens. 17 days.
I was going to say not
Levi
long
dies.
before, right? Yeah.
17 14 days.
I can't imagine this. Like, I cannot imagine. Well, I can't really imagine killing anybody outside of like an extreme circumstance. But like, I truly can't imagine killing a
Your own
family
son.
member, and especially a child. Like, no,
Insane.
That's so upsetting.
Yeah.
For money.
For money. Your 23-year-old son.
Like, it's not even like, because when you
gross.
first started, you know, whenever you said that his son had died as well, I was like, okay, maybe the son was on to him about him killing his wife or him killing his
Something,
mom
right.
before. Like, maybe it was like he felt like he needed to do it to cover up his previous crime, but it's not even
Just
what it is.
greed.
It's just money.
Just greed. Just $700,000 that apparently, wait for it, Karl blew through very quickly on some get-rich-quick scheme.
Wow.
He got scammed. He got conned after that. Wow. He joined like a pyramid scheme.
I would be furious.
All of that to lose it all. That's
Just what
ridiculous.
he deserves. What a fucking piece of shit.
Awful.
Yeah,
At this
but it's
point,
so
though,
awful. Like,
Cindy
if I
is-
was his wife or kids, thinking like, it's already tragic that you lost your husband, the father of your children, but like, you didn't even see any of that insurance money, and then to watch your father-in-law get $700,000 after your husband dies, and then blow through it like that when you've got kids you've got to support alone. No.
Yep. At this point, Cindy, his wife at the time, is getting pretty suspicious. She's like, what the fuck is going on? What happened? You got all this fucking money when your son died and you blew through it like water. Like, what's going on? She fucking hires a private investigator.
Oh,
She's like,
nice.
I want to
Cindy's
know
not
what
fucking around.
she's not fucking
that.
around. She's like, I want to know what he has out there. Like, what's going on? What's he spending $700,000 on? What is happening right now? The investigator comes back to her and reveals that Karl has a policy for her for over $1 million. Warns her, and he's like,
Policies I don't know about.
Yeah.
No. Imagine, Cassie, if you like, I love Chris and he would never, but like, imagine if you just like you going about your life and you find out that there's a secret policy you had no idea about. What possible reason could you have to have a policy that I'm not aware of?
Right.
None.
Nefarious.
Yeah.
100%
Suspicious.
nefarious. So she decides she's going to start having conversations with her ex and Karl. And she says to police, I just spoke to him. He basically confessed to me that he did kill Levi. And she says he told me because he wants to get back with me. So police are like, interesting.
That's not the way.
That's not
the way.
That's interesting. Why don't we have you wear a wire and have this little conversation with him again, maybe in some kind of public place? And so she does, of course. And he doesn't fully admit, of course, because then he's suspicious. He's like, why are you asking me this? I feel like I'm being set up. And she's like, what are you talking about? She's like, you want to get back together. I want to know who I'm getting back together with. And she plays it cool. And he gives enough information to make the police feel like they can at least bring him in for questioning. And so they do. And he's that typical fucking narcissist piece of shit who thinks he's better than the cops, thinks he's smarter than anybody else in the room.
And they never are. They're the dumbest people you've ever met. Yeah.
So he's like, well, it was this happened. He actually, first is like, of course, it's just an accident. Second, then he was like, well, I did see it happen and it happened right before we left. And so I did leave him there.
Excuse me? Who would do that? He's like, I'm sorry, I'm running late.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
Oh, sorry about that truck. See ya.
Yeah. I gotta have a shareholders meeting.
Oh my God.
He then says, because what he had told Cindy was that he pushed the truck off of the jack, and that had killed him. So he'd already said that to Cindy. But now he's telling police, nope, it was an accident, but I did not stop. I did leave. Then he was like, okay, so
I feel like you're still criminally responsible, aren't you?
Just
like if you
keeps
know that
going.
happened.
He won't give up. He just keeps going. So then he's like, well, actually, I did hop into the truck and it accidentally fell on him. And I did leave because I got so nervous. I left.
Your kid, your child.
Yeah.
What person would do that?
So
if there was a chance to save your kid, you would call someone, right?
That is what the police
Again,
say.
I am a childless cat lady, so what do I know?
Yeah,
But-
exactly.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to the top for sure. I'm like, well,
I wouldn't
feels
let my
like
cat do that. I would fucking be strong
Oh
enough
my
to push.
God.
Oh my God. I would push that truck so
100%.
fucking hard. My son, and I just left him there. But regardless, it doesn't matter. He's keeps trying to make up stories that make him sound good, and nothing does. And it doesn't matter because it's still negligence and it's still second-degree murder. Even if it had fallen on him and he just left, even if it wasn't his fault that the truck fell on him, no matter what, it's negligence. You could have saved your fucking son's life. Instead, you left. Like, what is wrong with you? So he gets 15 to life for the negligence, for the second degree murder, all of this, right? But at that point too, police are now starting to be like, maybe there is something to look into, with the death of his wife, Christina, sorry, and find out that there was evidence that fresh kerosene had been spilled. So they'd like do some new investigation and they'd reassess the area, and they could tell that it wasn't like old soaked in kerosene. It was fresh kerosene, and they could see the spill pattern, and that the lamp couldn't have been the cause of it because it wasn't broken. There was no filament exposed, nothing that could have caused it. So it had to be hand lit. There was no other way it could have been lit. And they, with this new evidence, with literally 8 more years of work putting into his investigation, finally in 2020, they extradite Karl to California, where he is finally found guilty of murdering his wife and is now been sentenced to life without the possibility of parole.
wow.
And that is the insane story of the murder of Christine Karlsen and Levi Karlsen.
Christina, right?
Yes, I did it again. Why did I do that? Christina.
I bet that happens to you a lot, Christina. Yeah.
Oh, all the time. That's when you get a name like Christina, you get all the variations as well. So
It comes along with it, right?
Yes.
Sorry.
This story
I'm literally
is
looking right at it.
Is so upsetting. I feel like so many of these stories are so upsetting. This one, the one I told last week, it's just terrifying to know that there are people out there who are wired so differently from you, that are just are walking among us, who can do things like this to people that they care about
So casually.
so
It seems.
casually. It is really, really scary to know
Yeah.
that people they look like us, they're in our communities, but their brains are just
Wired different.
in such a way that it's like, that is the scariest thing to me. I think that that's part of what keeps me so fascinated with true crime, is that people can be so different from each other in that way. It's terrifying.
Yeah. And for it's one thing, like, when it's like a crime of passion between a husband and wife, it's like, oh, okay. It's not right, certainly, but it makes sense in your head, but things like this, like
Senseless.
taking out money and killing your son, and especially in that way, is so.
And planning it, like that's the thing, is because I think that we can. You're absolutely right. It's not right. There's no excuses for it, but I think we've all done things in the moment, so we can relate to things that happen out of like extreme emotional outburst, right?
Yeah,
but it's like, this was so carefully
contrived,
planned.
Yes.
And to think
For at
that
least 17 days. So to call it
least-
second degree murder feels.
Yeah.
And to think about, like, for at least 17 days to think about killing your own son and like how you're gonna do it, and not once thinking like, maybe I shouldn't do this, you know.
he apparently, when he confessed to Cindy, he had said that he was taking Levi out of the equation because he was a burden on the family, basically. Is that the most fucked up shit you've ever heard?
Oh, that's awful.
Disgusting. That's so disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Piece of shit.
I feel like that case has been covered a few times because I definitely I remember it once it mentioned the son.
The kid.
I was like,
the son. Oh.
Yeah, that was deeply upsetting. But thank you very much for telling it.
You're welcome.
Good. No, it's this is why we do these, to try to suss out the red flags. I
mean, and Cindy did suss out the red flags. I mean, good for her for hiring a private investigator. I mean, when was like, I don't know about this.
Something's not right.
Something isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
And taking the extra time and fully cooperating with the police immediately and being like, yeah.
She recognized, because here's the thing, if he blew through all of that $700,000, she was next. She had the $1 million policy.
Oh my God.
She was next.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think's going to cover that loss? Your ass.
Yep. That's right. Oof. What are you guys watching this week?
All right, listen. It's embarrassing, truly. And I don't know. I have no excuses for it except for that my life. I have watched all 3 Taken movies.
Oh,
I can't explain it.
Listen,
I don't know why. They're not good.
Sometimes you need a good action movie.
Not any one of them is a good movie. The third one being the worst of the 3.
Course.
But the first one, even when you think about Taken, you're like, all you think about is that phone call where he's just like, I have a particular set of skills. And that's the only thing that lives in your brain. But the writing of that movie is truly so bad.
Yeah.
It's really awful. And
I'm sorry, the idea of Liam Neeson as an action hero, it just does not compute in my brain. I gotta
be honest, he does a good job in that first movie as an action hero, especially if you remember that in the first movie he is 56. So by movie 3, that man is solidly in his mid 60s,
oh God.
I have no I can't answer for it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did it. But I just got on a roll and watched all 3 movies. So
if you're hankering for a good, kind of not good, but good, action movie of that time, that
Equalizer.
That's
what I was going to say.
I was going to say Last Boy Scout. I can watch that movie any fucking time it comes on.
I've never seen that.
I love that fucking movie. And to me, it still holds up. It's got Halle Berry in it.
And I do love Halle.
It's fucking so good though. And it's is it Jamie Foxx? I think in it.
Ooh.
No. Wait, it's one of the
Jamie
Wayans.
Foxx.
Sorry, it's not Jamie Foxx. It's one of the Wayans.
I also love that one
Damon
Wayans.
I think it's Damon Wayans.
I actually love the whole Wayans family, if I'm being honest.
It's really good.
This movie, watching these movies actually made me want to watch the Bourne series. I was like, that feels like a similar kind of, slightly better, but of the same time, kind of similar type of movie.
I rewatched those. Well, I've rewatched them a lot, but most recently,
you love action movies. You're a big action movie person.
A couple years ago, but I rewatched the whole series a couple years ago, and you know what? Is it the best movie you've ever seen? No. Is it exactly what you're looking for when you don't really want to think too much? Yeah.
That is, for me, that's what action movies are.
Yes.
Action movies are I put them, I know, honestly, I also know, can't look at it too deeply from a political standpoint. Okay. I can't watch it from because wow, the commentary on that, especially in Taken, you're parts of that movie, you're this feels racist, it doesn't feel good. But they're just something to have on that has a particular feel, a particular vibe, and a particular nostalgia for a certain period of time. You know?
Yeah.
I watched 2 things that I really enjoyed this week for different reasons. One was the new Stop the Steal documentary on
Ooh,
HBO.
That's on my list. I want to watch that. Stopping the Steal, I think is what it's called.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fucking incredible. They're the same people that did the in-depth documentary about January 6th. And it's just a really complete picture. Like, of course we know what happens from the news and everything like that, but to really see it, the concentrated effort at the state level to really like change the results of the 2020 election is
wild,
terrifying. We came really close.
I feel
That's
like
scary.
people do not talk about this the way that they should. And the reaction at the time wasn't what it should have been because
Right.
of the division in this country and all the spin that was happening around it. Like, when it comes down to it, a former president tried to overturn the results of an election. He tried to throw a coup in the United States of America.
And now he's running again.
Huge. It is insane to me that he is allowed to run again when you really think about what that was. It's crazy to me that all of the, I'm sorry that I'm taking it down this road, but it's just like all of these people who claim to love their country. It's like, I know that it's a twisted mentality of thinking, but it's just like textbook traitor.
Yeah.
I don't under a turncoat. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Like, all the people that they interview in this documentary are all Republicans. They're all like, no, we wanted him to win. We really wanted him to. And like, but he didn't. So we had to do our jobs. And like, honestly, if they weren't decent people, like we would be in a very different spot right now. But the other one that I watched, and I still have the 4th episode to finish, Chimp Crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no, I can't.
You texted me last night. You texted me last night about Chimp Crazy. Girl, I cannot wait for us to get brunch and talk about Chimp Crazy because
I just want to talk about her outfits.
There's so much to talk about Tanya. There's going to be so many Tanya Halloween costumes coming up. I'm absolutely certain of it.
So basically, this is the new Tiger King.
It is. Yes. It's the same guy who did Tiger King, and like she is. Look, she's a very problematic lady, but when she is getting her lips done and she's talking about how she's getting her lips filled in what looks like maybe the back of like a nail salon. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the guy is shaping her lips with his bare hands.
No.
He's like filling them with like silicone and then like shaping them with his hands. And she's talking about how she's like, just a little bit. I like to keep it natural. And you're like, what? It's crazy.
I still have so many questions. I
can't watch that.
Yeah,
it's rough. It is like, I have to be honest.
Rough.
Like, as much as we like to laugh at these people or whatever, the situation of the animals is so heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
No, can't be me. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, that was
What about you, Cass?
I finished watching Love is Blind UK.
Oh.
Have you guys seen it yet? No?
No.
Okay. You should. It was a good season. Yeah.
Nice.
Interesting. Yeah. I have nothing to share. I thought it was good. I'd love to gossip with you, but I don't want to give anything away to people who haven't watched it. And then like also too, don't want to tell you what happens. But it's a good I think it's somewhat predictable about like who ends up with who. There was a surprise in the end about one of the couples not making it work when you were like, I was really certain they would, but it's an interesting experiment. And I will say that 2 couples did make it and go through with and are still together.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah.
Well, on another reality TV show, I thought I was going to have to watch this season of Survivor because one of my podcast loves was on it this season.
Oh, yeah?
One of the guys from Pod Save America.
Oh, really?
Wow. I haven't even thought about Survivor in a long time.
Yeah.
I used to love that show. I might watch it
too.
anyway because I was like, I did see a commercial. Yeah.
Well, it's already aired, and this is not like a spoiler alert. It's been aired for a while now at this point, especially once this episode comes out. But he was eliminated in the first episode. Oh, and I was like, okay, good. I don't have to watch it this season.
You're like, never mind. All right, I'm out.
Never mind. Well, if you guys have something that we should watch, if you have a terrible date story to share in, if you need some advice or just want to say hello, go to our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com. And we love you so much.
Cheers.